Hey guys, with another video. Thanks for joining today. I want to do my full review on the Anta Zone 2 in 80. The Anta is a brand from China. They are one of the largest manufacturers of running footwear and apparel in the world. They are huge in the basketball world. They are really not big in the US. They do have a US facing website, but they've got limited models there. They've got some of their race shoes, and they have the Anta N90, which has had lots of press. The N90 is supposed to be a bouncier foam, a little bit lighter weight than this shoe. You can buy it for about $120, I think, US. These, I've seen a review on that, and then there was the N85 that basically has the N80 foam across the bottom, and then it has the N90 foam on the top to make a combo thing. My understanding is the N90 foam is probably a TPEE that's lighter and bouncier. This N80 foam, from everything I can tell, it's Nitro Edge. They call it Nitro Edge 80, and as best I can tell, it is a beaded PIBA foam. I actually like the little bit firmer ride of PIBA, and was able to get these. I used Shop Ning's. I got them for like $83, so I thought that was a pretty good deal. And the fact that I like PIBA, I thought I would like these shoes, and I hadn't seen really anyone hardly in the Western market, because you can't buy them here normally. I hadn't seen anyone review them. So I wanted to talk about these. I have about 80 miles on them. Thought I would do the full review. First of all, I have to say they're a pretty good shoe. I ended up, the biggest size they had for sale on Shop Ning's was a US 11. I've read, from my experience, a lot of the Chinese brands actually, I usually wear an 11 and a half, but I went ahead and tried the 11 because a lot of the Chinese brands do run like a half size long. And I have found these actually fit me really well. Not a problem at all. I was a little bit worried about them, the way they swoop in on the toe box. That would cause me issues, but I've actually been pretty comfortable in the toe box because it does widen out quite a bit there. It is fairly wide through the toe box, and I do have, even though probably a half thumbnail at the end, but I'm good. I love the design on the outsole rubber. It seems pretty good. It looks like it has an antelope in the rubber, which is very cool, and I think they're a good looking shoe. I would say they're ventilated, but they're not the most breathable shoe out there. They're fair in that sense. I would say it's a medium cushioned heel collar. It is not a gusseted tongue, but I've had no problems with it staying in place. It does have the loop going through the tongue that helps hold it in place, and it hasn't migrated on me. As far as the foam goes, it is like I said, I believe it's PIBA. It's fairly firm, but it's not super firm, and you still get some nice bounce out of it. The outsole rubber seems to be wearing good after 80 miles. I do have a little bit of wear on my heel, but it's a pretty thick amount of rubber, probably 3 millimeters thick, at least 2. And I think it's still going to last me a lot of miles, even a lot of miles before I have to put shoe goo on them. The tongue is well ventilated in the front part. Anyway, it's just a real standard thin sock liner, but I have found them comfortable. They work good for me. Based on my measurements, they're like 34 millimeters of stack height in the heel, 28 in the forefoot, which actually is dimensions. I usually like between a 0 and a 6 millimeter drop. These are 6 millimeters, so they work pretty well for me. I would say even though they do widen out pretty nice through the toe box, they're really not a really wide foot friendly shoe. They lock in well through the midfoot for me, but they get a little bit tight right here before it opens up. So, and I don't have a wide foot, so I would think they might get a little too narrow and a little too tight if you have a wide foot any further back. Other than that, they've really been good. I've used them mostly for daily runs and long walks. There is a little place where I think I've just kicked it with my heel and I've torn off the outside of the foam, but that's real normal for me. These come in at, like in my men's size 11, they're coming in at 9.6 ounces or 271 grams. You could probably take off close to an ounce if you were going with a men's size 9, but because usually when you go up to an 11 or 11 and a half, it adds close to an ounce. But anyway, very good shoes. I wanted to show a few comparisons of other shoes I have in my rotation that are somewhat similar that I could do some comparisons to. The first one I want to talk about is the Ultra Experience Flow 3. Definitely a different type of foam, and this one is 32 in the heel, 28 in the forefoot for a 4 millimeter drop. So it's 2 millimeters less of stack height in the heel. It uses the Ego P35 foam. Some of the advantages of the Ultra over the Anta is the wider fit. It's definitely a little bit wider toe box. It doesn't have that compression right through the midfoot that I think would cause it to not fit a lot of people. It's still not a super wide shoe. It's using Ultra standard fit, but very good. I'm not sure the outsole rubber is going to last quite as long as this is in the Anta. But in the P35 foam, it's probably giving you a maybe slightly less bounce than the Piba foam in the Anta, but it's pretty close, and it's a lighter feeling type of bounce. This is a really nice feeling shoe. Anyway, one of probably the closest comparisons I've have is a Chinese shoe that I bought. I have the X-Step 2000 kilometer 5. This one is one that they talk about the durability and how it can maybe last 2,000 miles. It has a lot of similarities to the Anta. This one I'm measuring at 34 in the heel. It has a 7 millimeter drop, so it's 27 in the forefoot. So it's just 1 millimeter less of cushion in the forefoot. It does have a different type of foam. This one comes with their X-Step Ace, which in this case is apparently a supercritical TPU of some type. I don't think it's a TPU, but anyway, it's some supercritical TPU. It felt super stiff the first 10 or 15 miles in the shoe and pretty uncomfortable. Now it's pretty nice. I would still say you get a little bit better bounce in the Anta. What this one has, the shoe, it's super power. Another thing that's very similar is they both have like a mid-foot shank in them for stability. But I would say the super power of the X-Step is it has this thick CPU outsole, which is part of the reason why they say it will last for long. And I have well over 150 miles in these, and there is hardly any outsole wear at all. So I do not see me wearing out the outsole, and the upper looks like it's going to last a long time as well. So I do think durability-wise, these would win. The last shoe I thought I would compare to, just real quickly, is I have the Li-Ning Red Hare 9 Pro. It uses their boom foam, which is also, in this case, a beaded Piba, it appears. It also has a midfoot shank. This one is 36 in the heel, 28 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop. Like I said before, I usually prefer the 6mm or under drop. So as far as drop goes, I prefer the Anta. But the Red Hair 9 Pro has some really nice features, and the upper I think is lighter weight and breathes better. I do think the foam feels a little lighter and bouncier. I do not think the outsole rubber is going to last as well. It's doing pretty decent. I've got 80 miles in them, but I had the previous version of these shoe, the Red Hair 8 Pro, and the outsole started really wearing through a little over 100 miles, so we'll see on that. These look like they're doing a little bit better, but anyway, those are just some of the shoes I could compare to. Again, my focus today was the Anta Zone 2 in 80. I do think it's a good solid shoe, and for 83 bucks, not a bad deal. Anyway, if you liked the video, please consider hitting the thumbs up, the like button. If you're interested in any more of my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. And other than that, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and keep moving.